the importance of food safety. Let me introduce Dr. Steven Pao. He is a research scientist, professor here at Virginia State University, a friend of mine too. And he is a leader in food safety. He's consulted all over the world and really helpful. You probably saw some of his research projects at Randolph Farm. You didn't even realize it this morning as you were walking by, especially the one in the high tunnel. But I'd like to go ahead and get him started. Dr. Pao.
Thank you, Chris, for the introduction, and thank you, Dr. Rafi, for the invitation. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. And this room setting is kind of unusual. We don't have to make eye contact. So I will try to speak as clear as I can. I will briefly discuss produce-related outbreaks, human disease outbreak related to consumption of fresh produce. And secondly, give you some recent food safety research updates, something we did at Virginia State. And finally, we will address the need of GAP. And based on CDC's data, each year, roughly 1 in 6 Americans, so 1 in 6 of us, get sick. And 3,000 people die from eating food. Majority of the causative agents are either viruses or bacteria. And also based on CDC's report, CDC is a Center Disease of Control and Prevention. Almost half of all the foodborne illness we just talked about between 1998 to 2008 were caused by fresh produce. So fresh produce are one of very important cause of foodborne illness disease. And fresh produce are essential to our living health diet. However, if we handle them inappropriately, they can cause serious damage to human health and even lives. And let's just see a few examples. One example is from FDA's update recently, an outbreak of E. coli 0157 infection linked to fresh strawberries. And these strawberries were produced in a farm in Oregon and was the source of infection for more than 15 people, including one ate the strawberry and unfortunately died. And the farm sold their produce, their strawberry and other produce to local people to sell in local roadside and farm stands and farmers markets. Okay. And let's see another example. This one is based on a CDC update in 2012. There's a multi-state raw cantaloupe outbreak. I think most of you probably heard about this, because this one happened in a farm in Colorado, killed 33 people. And this is one of the large, I would say it's the largest produce outbreak happened in the United States. And even more recently, this year, I was trying to prepare for this talk. I looked through internet information. CDC has another update in 2013, this year in June. There are over 84 people infected by salmonella in 18 different states. And among those people infected, 28% of them were hospitalized. And FDA placed import alert on all the imported cucumbers from Mexico to specific areas, to specific farms. So this kind of outbreak can be caused by domestic production of fresh produce, but often also caused by imported produce. And let's just see another one. This one is still ongoing. The numbers still increasing. The latest update was June 26th this year. 122 people confirmed become ill after eating this frozen berry pumpkin mix. So this product, frozen product, caused hepatitis A outbreak over more than 8 states now. I think 8 states right now. And according to the label on those frozen products, the ingredient to make the frozen mix originated from US, Argentina, Chile, and Turkey. So the problem could associate with an imported product. So in general, we can see in this chart, the process from the farm to consumer's dinner table, it takes many steps, including processing, transportation, retail, and in every single step, contamination can occur. So, however, most of us probably are more related to farm operations, so our talk will be more focused on this area. And I'd like to give you a few updates on some research we just recently done, or we have some ongoing investigation at Virginia State University. And one thing we did is we actually worked with Virginia Department of Health. We took fecal samples from wildlife such as deer, birds, turtle, and some of them were taken from close to landfill sites. And based on this investigation, we found Salmonella often in wildlife. So if you're a farm, you see birds flying, you see turtle running, you see, they don't run, I think they walk. You see deer running. They are a source of foodborne illness pathogens. And unfortunately, in the past, at Virginia alone, we have 5 tomato-related outbreak happened in Virginia. And there are more than 850 confirmed illness relating to eating tomatoes produced in Virginia. And fortunately, no one died from those infections. Another project I've been working with Cooperative Extension is we build a high tunnel and we study pathogen transfer inside the high tunnel. How can they get the insects in the high tunnel get bacteria such as E. coli from manure into the high tunnel and then pass to tomatoes. So our purpose of doing this is trying to identify the vehicle and identify ways to prevent those contaminations. And in the past few years, we also sample sheep and goats and see their feces. Do they carry Campylobacter? Is another human pathogen, Salmonella or E. coli. And this work, we work with University of Maryland in Shore and College in William & Mary. And we found very high prevalence of Campylobacter in sheep and goat feces. And another interesting point is sheep pose a greater risk than goats in carrying either Campylobacter or Salmonella in their feces. So one more area that related to food safety that probably more relates to your operation as well is produce sanitization. We know how produce production is very important, but post-harvest, especially how to clean those produce is very, very important. And there are many options, many choice of sanitizers and cleaners. And we focus on one area, is one product called, one type of chemical called chlorine dioxide, which is very effective sanitizer for tomato and other produce sanitization. And this product is more environmentally friendly than traditionally used chlorine due to the less concentration it is used and also the less byproduct generated in the packing area. And we also found surface pathogen. So in the field, fruits and vegetables will be somewhat in contact with soil and dirt and maybe insects, so they can be contaminated with pathogens. But once they are contaminated, we can wash them in packing area to reduce the level of contamination. And washing can be done either by soaking in a tub or by spray washing. And my recommendation would be spray washing is preferred. You have less chance to cause cross-contamination between the produce. When you wash, either in tank or in spray washing, always incorporate a suitable sanitizer. There were outbreaks related to produce of packing because of lacking of sanitizers in the wash water. It caused the spread of pathogen from one fruit or one produce to many. So that can trigger major problem. And we also found cold storage after produce washing is very important, because some pathogen can actually rebound due to the moisture and temperature. They can rebound on washed produce. And we published this paper in different journals, and the Packer and Fresh Cut magazines, they all covered our findings recently. So overall speaking, based on our investigation, we can see pathogen can find a way to get to your produce through small animals, through birds, through soil, through trash, and through human hands. So there are so many ways the pathogen can pass from one area to another area at your farm. So it is important we have preventive measures. So that's what we want to talk about. It's not something new, probably to most of you, but if it is new, please pay attention, because we do need a good agricultural practice program. And what is GAP, or Good Agricultural Practices Program? And in food safety, GAP is the foundation for the entire food safety program. And based on food safety, we can build so-called GMP, or Good Manufacturing Practices, or we can build HACCP, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point programs. So that means if the farmers, producers are not building a GAP, we will not have a successful GMP and hazard for consumers. So therefore, GAP is the foundation for human food safety. And to acquire more information on GAP, you can go to Cornell University's website. They have a national program in GAP, and in that program they cover water, manure, hygiene, sanitation, packing, transportation, tracing. So a lot of information, very user-friendly information, even worksheets, presentation files. You can download a lot of stuff from that website for free. Some of you may ask, do I really need a GAP program? I think by hearing those outbreaks, perhaps gave us a good recommendation that yes, we do. Because contamination can occur on your farmland, in the field, orchards, or during the harvesting, transportation by equipment or handling, or during processing, packing, or in distribution, even at the time of selling the produce. So you will say, I think many of you may think, I can always wash the produce before I eat or I sell it. So what, they are contaminated somewhat in the field. Is that good enough if I wash the produce thoroughly? In fact, FDA recommends consumers wash fruits and vegetables immediately prior to consumption. I think they use word very carefully and very smart way. Immediately prior to consumption. So those are recommendations for consumers, but for producer and retailer, if I wash my produce, is that good enough? I will say the answer is no, because pathogens such as Salmonella, E. coli, and other pathogens, they are very difficult to be removed after contamination to your produce. Because bacteria and viruses can find crevices on the produce surfaces. Some fruits looks very smooth, like tomato, you see the skin looks very smooth. But really, under microscope, they are hills and mountains, rivers. You see a lot of three-dimensional surface, and there are many crevices allow bacteria to penetrate and infiltrate into the underneath the surface. It's really difficult to get rid of them, even by effective washing. So some of us may think the produce will eventually get cooked. Some of the produce will get cooked before consumption. So can we skip GAP if we cook the produce? So is cooking by itself alone sufficient enough? Unfortunately, it is still no from me, because food safety requires control measures from the farm all the way to dinner table. If in the production area we loaded very high level human pathogens, even down the road for packing and processing, those intervention treatments may not be as effective. And also contaminated produce can contaminate your kitchen as well. So if you bring contaminated product into your processing area, into your house, it may contaminate your kitchen. So hazard analysis and control should be implemented start from the farm all the way to processing. Another thought maybe will come to our mind is my produce never caused a problem. We have done this for generations or for years. Is that good enough? Does that really explain that the way we are doing is adequate? Unfortunately, it is not, because many outbreaks happen by accident, and some firms have worked years building their farms and their business, and due to one major outbreak, they can be closed, they can bankrupt. And also, no one should take that chance. There are a growing population in the vulnerable at risk areas. So there are many people getting older, and our population, aging population is growing. There are more people vulnerable to foodborne illness pathogens. And also the cost of foodborne illness to your farm, your business, is just unbearable. So we do not want to take the chance to get involved in foodborne illness outbreak. So some of you may think we can always use food safety practice. I go to seminars. I see some important things. We wash hands. We give training to our workers. Why do I need to build a program for it? Can I just do the right thing without a so-called GAP program? The recommendation or the correct answer is no. Because you can really see the missing pieces after you put everything together as a program. If you just remember one and two, a few practices, you are not building a program. And also the buyer, the retailer, may require third-party inspection, or their own inspector may come to your farm or packing facilities, and they want to see your GAP program, and they want to see your GAP certification. So really, to have a program, you can see the problem yourself better, you can help your buyers. So how can we build this GAP program? At USDA, agricultural marketing service. This is their website. They have a fresh produce auditing program. And this program is a voluntary independent audit program to support farmers like you, like us. Their audit services including multiple different type of GAP programs. You may have different kind of crop. You can pick the kind of GAP program that most suitable to your farm operation. And also the audit doesn't have to be the whole package. You can audit just one part. Say if you only do packing operation, you can just have the audit focus on that one packing area. And this USDA program actually at Virginia, state of Virginia, they work in collaboration with DDEX, Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. They have staff can come to your farm, perform GAP audit. And how can we start this? Say if I'm interested, but if I don't have much experience, I can always first contact Virginia Cooperative Extension local office for training assistance. And secondly, based on the training and the information you received, you can implementing a GAP program that's suitable to your farm. And after you feel your program is mature, ready for inspection, schedule an audit with Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. And here is their telephone number. And their trip, they will charge you $92 per hour, including their travel. But you can call them, there's no charge for calling them. And they do answer the call, because I did that 2 days ago, just to make sure the number works. And they can give you some good hints. And once you pass the audit, you will receive a certificate. You can post your certification online so your buyer knows you are good in that area. Plus, the state office will send your record to USDA. On USDA's website, there will be your name and the date, the kind of crop, and the kind of operation you have been certified. So the USDA is doing advertisement for you. Yes. Yeah, in my conversation with the state office, they say about less than 2 weeks. And can yes, because thank you for helping me out. The GAP program is a voluntary program. So if I have a GAP certification that year, I just posted it that year. So these are the steps by going through the extension training, extension office provided training, and DDEX inspection, you can get listed. Okay? And through the process, you probably will learn more than I know. Okay? And including how long they will post your farm on USDA's website. I'm sure they will let you know. Okay? And in addition to GAP, do we need to think about something else? Yes, there is something else coming up. Because in 2011, there is a Food Safety Modernization Act signed into law. So under this law, they are trying to shift responding to contamination, that idea, into prevention. So now the idea is to have the prevention become regulated. So in this proposed produce safety standard for grower, harvester, packer, and people who transport the produce, The proposed rule will cover the following area, including the water, agricultural water, the soil amendment, worker hygiene and health, domesticated and wild animals, equipment, tool, and buildings. So this area will be covered by this rule. However, if your operation, your average annual value of food sold is less than $25,000 during the previous 3 years, more likely you will be exempt from this rule. But this rule is not set in concrete yet, so there will come in comments until September 16 this year, and we don't know when this rule will become reality. So that's just my brief address on the importance of produce safety. And here's my telephone and my email. And if you have any additional question, I welcome you to raise your hand. For consumer, you want to get your product from reliable source. If you are getting your produce from your backyard, you know your backyard is clean or not clean. Once you bring your produce into your kitchen, you want to separate them, especially if they are still dirty, you want to separate them from pre-cooked product or product can be contaminated by produce. This produce can carry pathogen into your kitchen. And then you want to wash them. In the washing process, actually, there is an important concept that most consumers doesn't know, but packers, produce packers is practicing this. It's probably better to use warmer water to wash the produce instead of cold. Because if there is a temperature differential, if you have very warm summer harvested produce, very warm, you put it into a cold water bath, the food will actually generate a vacuum itself and suck the bacteria into the core or the crevices of the produce. So wash produce with warmer water, or at least the temperature equivalent or higher than the produce. And I think that would be the kind of recommendation aligned with FDA's recommendation. Wash the produce immediately prior to consumption. There is no recommendation for consumer wash produce with sanitizer in their home. However, you can buy antimicrobial produce washing solution. You can buy ozone. There are ozone washers, just like a small appliance you can put on the kitchen table. If you feel you like to have some extra oomph on that, but there is no strong scientific evidence that it's really making a great difference. So to use those additional measures may not help. Yes. Yeah. Well, manure, that's a very good question. That's probably one of the most important things, the fecal matters. It needs to be composted properly, and so that requires that that training from good agricultural practices. And I think if we have the need, we should incorporate a talk just on how to properly treat raw manure from any kind of animals prior to utilization, and how you amend the soil so that at the right time and the right location will not pass to the plants. And on the plants, definitely it's more the surface contamination issue. There are research thinking the bacteria can penetrate into the inside, but that's still in a lower opportunity than the surface. The surfaces are exposed. And the surface, especially the scar areas. So for consumer, another recommendation will be cut out the scar area. Sometimes you see a restaurant cutting tomato including the scar areas, and that's not very clean. That area can trap bacteria 100 times higher than those surfaces that are smooth, easy to be washed. To internalize yes, the surface is not as smooth as we can see. There are many holes and stomach cut and many other areas can trap bacteria. They are large enough for bacteria to enter the fruit, the leaves and the fruits. Therefore, that's why the prevention is the key. And bacteria can enter fruits, but they don't enter so easily. They are pressure, they are distance. They prefer to stay outside if they can. So we have done some research. We actually put bacteria in those areas to let them to suck into the fruit. And usually they don't migrate very far. They stay on the surface. So if you cut the surface properly, you cut the scar area out, the contamination load will be very low. The human has some immune system we can defend if the contamination bacterial load is very, very low. So that would irradiation, if it is low enough, it will kill everything. It can kill everything. But it depends on how the product was treated. So if you're a consumer, you are definitely not irradiating your produce, right? Yeah. So your produce is come from the supermarket. And regardless, they say they have been irradiated or not, you should consider them as a potential source of that they may have some bacteria on top. Because even after irradiation, the produce may still expose to the source of contamination. But the level of irradiation, there are so many different levels. So I really cannot give you an answer. They will wipe out certain bacteria or not.